Welcome to this explainer. Okay, look, if I tell you we're diving into a 0-0 preseason draw, you might think it sounds a little dull. A total snooze fest, right? But hold on a second, because this August 2026 clash between Chelsea and Juventus, it is actually packed with tactical clues, some totally fascinating returning characters, and a ton of hidden drama right before the new season kicks off. This wasn't just a light kickabout in the park. It was a high-level scouting mission disguised as a friendly, and we're going to break down exactly what happened out there on the pitch.
Here is the agenda for today. First, setting the preseason scene. Number 2, squad news and missing stars. 3, lineups and tactical setups. And 4, match action and takeaways. I promise you we are taking a really deep dive into the real storylines of this Hong Kong scouting mission.
Section 1. Setting the preseason scene. Okay, let's dive into this and look at the context of this August 5th match.
So we're deep into the summer tour, and the stage is set for a massive clash of styles. What makes this matchup so incredibly intriguing is the absolute contrast in form. You look at Chelsea, and it has just been pure chaos. I mean, they scored 6 goals in a wild 6-4 victory against the Western Sydney Wanderers, but right before that, they lost 2-1 to a Tottenham side playing with only 10 men. They were scoring for fun, but leaking goals like crazy. And then you have Juventus. They rolled in looking like an absolute iron wall. Up to this point in the preseason, they hadn't conceded a single goal. 0. It was the classic unstoppable force against the immovable object.
And we definitely have to talk about the unique and honestly kind of bizarre conditions for this specific game. They're playing at the Kai Tak Sports Park over in Hong Kong, which means brutal heat and heavy humidity. It was so intense they had to build scheduled hydration breaks into the match just to keep everyone safe. Plus, there was this really fun exhibition rule. If it ended in a draw, no extra time. Straight to a penalty shootout to make sure the fans got a definitive winner.
Section 2, squad news and missing stars. Because, in these preseason games, who doesn't play is honestly just as important as who does. For Chelsea, manager Xabi Alonso had some seriously tough calls to make regarding 2 of his biggest stars. Palmer and Levi Colwill, completely left out of the squad as a precaution. Palmer was dealing with a nagging groin issue from last season, and word was he was strictly limited to individual training. Then you've got Colwill, who spent most of the last campaign recovering from an ACL injury, and he missed the team training session entirely. With the Premier League literally just 3 weeks away, Alonso's verdict was crystal clear. 0 risks taken, none. But guys, the biggest narrative shock on the Chelsea bench? A massive, massive return. Think back to November 2024. That was the absolute last time Mykhailo Mudryk made an appearance for Chelsea. After that, he served a very lengthy doping ban that essentially wiped him off the football map. Fast forward to August 2026, and Mudryk is suddenly back, sitting on the bench in Hong Kong. It's just a huge micro-narrative hovering over this entire squad.
But things aren't exactly how we left them. Mudryk is back, sure, but check this out. He's wearing a brand new kit number, 43. Why the change? Because during that nearly 2-year absence, Palmer completely cemented his superstar status at the club and totally took over Mudryk's old number 10 shirt. It's a pretty stark reminder of just how fast football moves on when you're sidelined.
Now on the other side, Juventus manager Luciano Spalletti had his own roster headaches. The fans in Hong Kong were super eager to see Juve's new firepower, but Spalletti's squad was missing some really crucial new arrivals. Randal, Kolo, Muani, their big signing from PSG, and Kerim Alajbegovic from Bayer Leverkusen didn't even travel for this match. So basically, both of these heavyweight teams were operating without their full arsenals.
Section 3, lineups and tactical setups. And this brilliantly illustrates how the two managers mirrored each other tactically.
With all those key players missing, how did they set up the chessboard? While both Alonso and Spalletti went with a matching 4-2-3-1 formation. It's practically a mirror image. Chelsea had Robert Sanchez in goal behind a backline of Palestra, Fofana, Adarabioyo, and Hatu. Juventus matched that exact structure with Di Gregorio in net, supported by Kalulu, Gatti, Kelly, and Selic. In the midfield, it was Chelsea's Caicedo and Nico Jazzoli locking horns with Juve's seasoned duo of Locatelli and Douglas Luiz. Because of this symmetry, the game was always destined to be a super tight, highly technical battle of one-on-one matchups all over the pitch.
I really want to spotlight a fascinating dynamic going on in that Chelsea lineup, though. In the double pivot, Xabi Alonso actually handed a first start to 16-year-old Madi Nicol Jazzuli, literally a teenager getting the nod against a European heavyweight. And then up front, the complete opposite end of the spectrum, veteran striker Danny Welbeck making his absolute debut in a Chelsea shirt. Blending a 16-year-old kid with extreme veteran experience like Welbeck is just a brilliant tactical experiment by Alonso.
Oh, and on the other side of the pitch, the Juventus attack featured a really fun revenge narrative. Jeremy Boga, a former Chelsea Academy kid, was slotted right into the starting lineup against his old club. You always want to see how a player performs when they're tasked with breaking down the exact team that let them go.
Section 4. Match action and takeaways. Let's pivot to the actual on-pitch events, framing this more as a really intense fitness exercise rather than your typical competitive thriller.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the story of game control. Despite the 0-0 final scoreline, this was absolutely not an evenly fought battle for the ball. Look at this. Chelsea completely dominated possession with a whopping 71%. 71! Xabi Alonso clearly has this team geared towards suffocating the opponent and dictating the tempo. But remember that iron defense from Juventus we talked about? Spalletti's men were totally comfortable with that. They maintained their discipline in a low block and basically said, go ahead, try and find a way through our 29% window.
Chelsea did almost crack the toad early on. The absolute best chance of the entire game came right in the 12th minute, and it showed exactly what the new signings are capable of. Giovanni whipped in this incredibly tempting cross from the right wing, right onto the head of the debutant, Danny Welbeck. Welbeck got a glancing header on it, but it just sneaked wide of the mark. Still, it was a fantastic flash of what Alonso is building. You could see those attacking patterns already clicking.
Beyond that 12th-minute chance, though, the match was really a game of half chances and tactical clues. Juve relied heavily on the counterattack to threaten that 71% Chelsea possession. Early on, Andrea Cambiaso had a solid shot that was crucially blocked by Chelsea's Tosin Adarabioyo. Fabio Moretti almost punished Chelsea too, but a heavy touch at the last second saw the ball just roll harmlessly away. Out on the wings, the sheer pace was obvious. Marco Palestra, who literally won the Serie A Speed Award last season, looked incredibly lively for Chelsea. Jamie Gittins also showed off his raw speed, completely weaving through that rigid Juventus defense at one point. Unfortunately, he let himself down with a pretty poor final cross. At the end of the day, that disciplined Juve backline just held firm.
And that brings us to the ultimate question. The game ends 0-0, serving as a really rigorous fitness test in that sweltering Hong Kong heat. But look at the big picture here. Xabi Alonso's Chelsea can totally dominate the ball, but they struggled to find a clinical edge against the top-tier defense, all while nursing injuries to key guys like Palmer and Colwill. On the flip side, Spalletti's Juventus remains defensively impenetrable, yet they're still waiting to integrate major attacking signings like Kolo Muani. So, with just 3 weeks left until their league campaigns kick off, what do you think? Are these tactical clues pointing toward a massively successful season for these two clubs, or do both managers have a mountain of work left to do? It's a fascinating puzzle, and I really hope this explainer helped you see the brilliant tactical battle hidden right inside a 0-0 draw. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll catch you next time.